Hey world, welcome back to another video. It is me, Abbayabbadoo, and today's video is about how to interact with your pet rats. Rats are very social and intelligent animals, as you can see. They crave interaction and love bonding with their owners. Spending quality time with them builds trust and helps keep them mentally and physically stimulated. Now, before interacting with rats, you want to make sure that they have a safe play environment. So I use like these CNC grids and I will put them around their cage area so that when they're free roaming, they can get back to their cage and eat or use a litter tray. You want to remove any small objects that they could potentially swallow or any wires, or what I like to do, because I have some wires over here, I will cover them up with CNC grids and make sure they can't get to them. Another really good option instead of a playpen is a rat-proofed room. So if your rats live in a spare room in your house, then that's a really good option for them to run about in. You never want to force a rat out of the cage. You always want to make sure that they're coming out on their own terms and that you aren't going in and just grabbing them. What I like to do is give them the option of coming into the playpen. Nellie down here, she doesn't always come out of the cage, but it's nice to give her the option to when she does decide to. But pushing an interaction with your rat when they clearly don't want to be held can really set back your relationship with them. It can make them scared or stressed. It's better to offer them your hand and then pick them up if they seem interested, or like I said, let them have the option of coming in or coming out. A way to a rat's heart is actually through their stomach. When I first got my rats, I like to offer them things like mealworms or malt paste, because with mealworms, they can take it and run away from you. But with malt paste, you put it on your finger and they are forced to eat next to you, which I find is really good for making them be used to your scent, get used to you in general. And like many animals, the more you come to them with food, they'll associate you with positive experiences. There are a few ways you can pick up a rat. Obviously they're smaller creatures and they can be a little bit difficult to pick up because they're so small and fast, but the more they get used to you, the more they won't mind it. You can hold them like this through your hands. This is an example of a baby rat. They will not stay still. So don't be alarmed or annoyed when they don't want to sit and cuddle with you. Some rats will be calmer than others. Jade really isn't interested. She's gone. She's gone. As you can see, all my rats have different personalities. You can hold them like this, support them and hold their back and quickly put them into a playpen. But as you can see, not all rats will be overly interested in being picked up. If they're nervous, scoop them up from underneath. Never ever go in from above because you look like a predator. You want to get down on their level and go and scoop them in from underneath. Never ever pick them up from their tail. They're not like gerbils where their tail can drop off if you touch it or pull on it, but it's really painful for them to be held by their tail and can cause spine issues depending on how much you do it. So don't do that. It's really dangerous and painful for the rat. There are loads of fun activities you can do with your rats. You can build them a DIY maze. Just make sure everything you do is made with safe materials like cardboard and that it isn't dangerous. We all see those hamster mazes around on the internet, and I just want to make it very clear that they are all very unsafe and never make them like that. You can use foraging toys to hide food or treats, and it's a good way to stimulate your rat's brain. I like to play a gentle game of tug of war. Jade especially likes this. Happy rats will show it in different ways. They might brux, which is when they grind their teeth, or boggle, when they move their eyes in and out slightly. This sort of comes hand in hand since their jaw and eyes are all connected, which is why when they eat their eyes kind of shake. And in some rare cases, some rats might wag their tail if they're extremely happy. They'll also be relaxed and curious during playtime. If your rats seem nervous or scared, just give them time to adjust to their surroundings. They're very cautious creatures, and let them climb on you. Rats love exploring their humans if they're brave enough, and eventually they'll get more and more used to you. Rats are very hyperactive animals and should have about half an hour to an hour outside of the cage. And depending on the size of your cage, if you can fit one in, it is recommended to have a 12-inch, depending on how big your rats are, to a 16-inch wheel. But you never want to put a wheel in if your cage isn't big enough. My cage is the minimum size, but it isn't big enough to include a wheel, which I would love to one day, but rats would much more prefer have the floor space than have a wheel take up all of the space. Now, here are some do's and don'ts for handling your rats. So like I said, you do want to handle your rats every single day to strengthen their bond, and use soft voices and gentle movements to make them less afraid of you, because obviously you're 1,000 times bigger than them and you want to be very gentle and calm before they start getting used to you. Do not wake them up suddenly. Rats are this word that I can never pronounce, and it basically means that they're awake at dawn and dusk and sometimes around lunchtime. So waking them up when they're not going to be up is actually very annoying to your rats. It's the same sort of thing as a hamster being woken up during the middle of the day. It's not natural for them. It can be unhealthy if you're forcing them to be awake at times that they're not naturally going to be awake, and they just hate being startled. And never leave them unsupervised outside of their cage. They're tiny creatures. As much as they're bigger than a hamster and bigger than a gerbil, they're still small and they're gonna get into places that you don't want them to. If they end up chewing through your wall, which is something that I've heard that people have said has happened, or chewing through your bed or wires, obviously that's bad for you, you've lost your pet through the wall, but also that's really dangerous for them. And with love and patience, you'll have some very outgoing rats that will happily sit and explore with you, and soon enough you'll have an amazing bond with your rats. That's all for today, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye!